Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today we are listening to the singer PJ Harvey. This is a live performance of the song Dress. Here we go. I'm very excited about this one. I've heard her once previously in a Patreon hangout. I was so intrigued, and this is just amplifying that. What struck me the first time I heard her was the control she had in her vocals and throughout the entirety of her range. Listening to the first half of this song, that control is still very prevalent, but the other thing that's striking me is how pretty her tone is. Sometimes when we hear, I guess I would call this a rock song, alt rock, I'm not sure, I'd have to look it up, but sometimes I think vocalists sacrifice certain qualities in their tone for the sake of the song itself, whether it's text, whether it's exploring a large range, whether it's intensity. And I feel like she was able to just keep all of the really exciting qualities in her tone while still honoring the song itself, I guess. I don't know. We'll break it down. Here we go. So it's been a hot minute since I did first hear her, and I had forgotten the richness in her voice, especially in this chest dominant space. There's an edginess to it, a little bit of bite, but it's so full, and it's almost as if she's creating this sort of gravelly effect, not with texture, but just with like space. Out dancing, starting off red. And even just watching her, yes, I know she's playing guitar, but it's the stillness. There's so much poise, and maybe that's also adding to the perceived element of control. I still think there's a lot of vocal control happening, but sometimes what we hear is amplified by what we see, and that might be happening here. So originally we heard a lot of chest voice. Then this section, I would say, is more of a mix. As she ascends, I feel like she narrows. Doesn't thin the sound, but she narrows it as opposed to allowing it to spread. So dynamically, it's all very consistent. I think if she had spread as she ascended, it would have gotten a lot louder, which it's not to say that she doesn't get louder later, but I think building in this song, when you think about a composition, this is, okay, a bit of a tangent, but sometimes you can tell when a songwriter is not a vocalist. And I'm not saying they have to be on stage all the time, but just having the experience of moving through registers, because if you are placing a verse or a chorus in a higher range, there are certain words, certain notes that sort of lend themselves to more spread. And when you encounter a song where that's not necessary, it just kind of has a refinement to it that we don't always get, which I really appreciate. And I say, of course, this is not always and forever a hard, fast rule, but sometimes you can tell when a singer has been instrumental in a composition because they know the voice. It's the same with even just composers from hundreds of years ago. There were some composers that I feel just really understood the human voice, and others solely just had a mind for the music and the text and maybe didn't take into consideration how a singer would approach a vocal line. I love that we got just a little flip into head voice there. I know that she has a fairly extensive range, but it's very intentional here. And I think her use of head voice added an element that was unique and interesting, as opposed to... She could have sung that in mix, I think, if she wanted to, but she chose not to. And I think it created something special in the song. Music play, make it good for romance. Just be aware I can just to please him. So here, we're getting a little bit more spread and amplified volume. And I went a little too far on my tangent. What I wanted to say previously about understanding the voice as you compose a song is that when you think about a build or like the arc of a song, if you're putting in words and notes that naturally are amplified, on top of that, if a singer has to create more space, more width, a different placement, that will also amplify the note. So what I was trying to say before is she had this really interesting build that was happening and dynamics weren't playing a part. Whereas sometimes we hear kind of a really extreme shift when notes ascend and the text has more width and more spread to it. Ooh. Again, I love that it's like a beautiful, almost like siren straight tone. And then we get that little yodely flip in there, which is just the transition between the TA muscle engagement and the CT muscle engagement. And It's very faint, but again, it adds character to the song, to the vocal line. Her face is just so neutral throughout all of this. It's so comforting to see a singer so relaxed. Oh my goodness. This might be the best example of twang I've ever had the privilege of featuring on the channel. So I've briefly touched on this before. It's a narrowing that happens at the top of the larynx. And the best example I can give is if I kept everything the same and just made, well, okay, not everything the same, but you know, it's the difference of going like ah and eh. Like there's this shift that happens, and certainly tongue positioning, vowels, all of those play a part. In this section of the song, you can hear a very distinct shift in placement. You might call it thinner or brighter. There's more spread. Maybe even a little bit more nasality or at least forward placement. And it's such a beautiful shift from what we heard at the beginning of the song. Because again, this is just a 3-minute and 20-second performance. So to give us that kind of variety in tone, I think is really special. Let me go back. And then at the end of that line, it seemed to get just a little further back and a little bit more open. I'm finding there is a lot to appreciate about her music, and just from the 2 live performances I've seen thus far, I so enjoy how polished each performance has been. Her intonation is really exceptional, especially considering, again, a live venue, and this is a huge concert or festival. The reason I use the word polished is I have encountered plenty of songs with a similar intensity, but they have been accompanied by, I don't know, they felt chaotic or rushed or not wholly put together, and this just felt so complete and structured, that I just was able to really enjoy her vocals, the music, the song itself, the text. I will definitely be hearing more, but that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.